Back with another episode of the Branders Magazine Talking with Branders podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Bacanza, and today I am welcoming, I think, our first guest from over the pond, Cristian Saracco. He is the founding partner of Allegro 234. He's a senior brand advisor with FutureBrand. And if I'm looking at this correctly, he's also a Branders Magazine contributor. Cristian, benvenuti. Ciao, welcome. Glad to have you in the studio.
Ciao, Stefano. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm glad to be here. Glad to have this opportunity of sharing some ideas. Neither good nor bad, but ideas.
I like how you preface that. They may not be good, they may not be bad, they're just ideas. And like that's the beautiful things about being creative and being an idea man. So tell all the listeners and viewers, if they don't know who you are, 60 seconds or less, what's your elevator pitch? Tell everyone a little bit about you.
My elevator pitch. Well, I could say I'm a brand consultant, basically. Unfortunately, for the rest of the branding sector, I'm an engineer. Anyway, it's worse than that. I'm an engineer with a master in science of engineering, and then an MBA. And finally, in my internal battles, I made my PhD, and that is in corporate communication, which is completely the opposite side of the world. So I was working during almost 30 years on brand strategy. I come from management consulting, so I began with corporate strategy. And I could say that basically I was extremely focused in the very beginnings, also in Allegro 234, on value-based, business-driven branding. Which, as we were talking a couple of weeks ago, beautiful conversation, by the way, it was 30 years ago, it was like trying to sell shoes to Africans. They need the shoes, but they don't know that. So it's something like that. That was
something like that.
Politically incorrect, I think.
Anyway. But you know what I love about you, Cristian, what I love about it every time we have a conversation is you are one of the most abstract thinkers that I know, but somehow, like a good artist, you're able to tie the concept back to your intent, at the right moment. And so that's I don't know if it's because you have 70,000 advanced degrees underneath your belt, or it's because you are from Italian from Argentina that lives in Spain, but also spent time in New York. But whatever it is, there's something off about you, but that makes you so on. Does that make sense?
So first, thank you very much. I don't know. I think it's because I'm old.
Oh, no. You're seasoned.
I don't know. Probably it's because, this is something that I've learned, and was from terrific consultants that I were working with. They were my bosses. Yeah. And I remember they say, you have always to remember that you are talking with your mom. And she has to understand what the hell are you doing. And after discovering, after several years, I discovered that my mom, she didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I began to be more flexible with my ideas and know that instead that you can be with high level of abstraction in your concepts, you have to go down and tell that in a very simple way.
Yeah.
There is a branding consultancy firm, Siegel and Gales, which they used to say, simple is smart. And it's extremely true.
That's so true. No. My mother didn't understand what I did until she watched Mad Men. And then she was like, you kind of do like what they do in Mad Men. And I was like, sure. I mean, yes, I am drinking that much, but I don't wear suits every day. And then my mother-in-law tells me one day, she's like, Steven, I don't know what the hell you do. Talk to me like I'm a caveman. And just like what you had said, it's like one of those things, like, how do we make complex simple? And that's one of the things that in my conversations with you, and I know the work that you do with Allegro is, you're really, you help organizations make their complex challenges into almost simple solutions. In doing some research and in my conversations with you, you talk a lot about this idea of conscious branding, conscious businesses. What is that idea, and why does it matter?
I could say that the first step to be conscious is to be sincere. And I'm not saying to be authentic. Authentic is something like you are born being authentic. That's when we used to say in Spanish, I don't know in English, a kid and a drunk man used to tell you the true, they are authentic.
Sure.
Okay. But sincere is something that you learn how to be sincere. Okay? So a baby and a kid is authentic when you arrive to your, you become an adult, you have to learn how to be sincere. And when you're talking about consciousness, several people think that you are extremely woke and and you are trying to save the world with your brand and your business. And that's not true, or that's not exactly true.
Yeah.
You can do that, but you can also be extremely sincere and say, I have a real conscience and I want to make business here and obtain some money doing this. And that's it. That's it for me. That's enough. And the issue of consciousness is that, in any case, this is the first part of the story. The second part of the story is, in any way, when you are talking about a business, you are talking about people. So is to be a conscious business, to have a conscious brand, is to show that you are a human entity. At the end of the day, you are a human entity, sincere.
You're right. You're not a robot brand that's not flexible or.
Yeah, and that's a tremendous challenge right now, because in a couple of years, the artificial intelligence will surpass all the human intelligence together. And we have to assure that the companies continue to be human and continue to be able to humanize the world.
That scares the shit out of me, Cristian. It absolutely scares the shit out of me.
That's because I smoke things of high quality. Anyway, but the real issue is that. So the challenge when we in Allegro 254, I'm not going to say I'm doing that. We, a team, is working on that. What we are trying to build is this kind of consciousness.
Yeah.
To be more human, without losing the focus that a company is for doing money, generate value, and also, if you want to have a positive impact socially and environmentally, it's fantastic. Anyway, and this is a top secret issue that nobody, when they are behaving very woke, says is, if a company want to have a positive impact, first they have to have a positive bottom line. If you don't have results, if you do not generate enough money, you cannot produce that positive impact. This is the rules of the game in the world we live.
That's business 101. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a question of being sincere.
Yeah. Ah,
That's it.
like a good artist, you could bring it back to that idea. I love what you said. Like, we're born authentic. We need to learn to be sincere. That's such a power, because for so many years, Christian, at least here in the States, like authenticity was the buzzword of the last decade. Every brand is searching for authenticity. We need it's spray painted on walls. It's in a vision statement. It's part of the core values. But taking it a step further, so when you're working with a business, how do you uncover their consciousness, or better yet, like, how do you make them aware that they are a conscious business?
What we try to do is to establish a sort of roadmap. We try to understand where they are and what's the legacy of that company, because all the companies, they have a history around them.
Yeah.
What we have to maintain to the future, and what are their ambitions. Okay. So in the middle of that, as a business, we began to talk as well. And are you conscious about what you want to do? Is this enough human, or is just a transactional business where you want to make money and that's it?
Yeah.
But in any way, if you want to make money and that's it, be sincere. Go back to that. Be sincere and tell the people that your intention is to make money. Don't go with lies. Say, no, I'm the savior of the world, I'm Superman or whatever, because nobody's going to believe on that.
You see right through that. Yeah. So you're kind of, in a way, you're getting the company to truly, like, ask themselves the question of, like, you're getting them to question their own values and their own vision. Because if they just want to be about profit, and then you tell them, well, tell everyone that you're just about profit, what do they usually say? Well, we can't say that. Or do they say that we can say that?
No, I think we can say that. It's not bad to say that.
Is it sincere?
It's sincere. The issue is not to be authentic on that. I remember a little story about authenticity. Several years ago, and this is true, a professor there in the States was he was discussing about authenticity in a class in the at the university, and in a certain moment he said, "Well, during next month I will be completely authentic." And after saying that, everybody say, "Are you okay with that?" Yes, everybody say, "Yes, yes, that's fantastic, very cool. Go ahead with that. Be authentic." And after they say all that, he saw a young, beautiful lady in the first line or in the classroom and say, "Lady, this night I want to have sex with you, raw sex with you." And she was completely upset and said, no, I'm being authentic. And during the month, you have to support that. So the dean of the university went to the classroom and say, "Hey, you cannot tell that to the ladies in your room."
Right.
He said, no, we arrange and we deal that I'm going to be authentic. And she's extremely sexy and I want to have sex with her. And he said, no, you cannot do that. Yes, I can do that. And please take a distance to me because you smell so bad. So it was a disaster.
My gosh.
So that's the way when you are talking and when you are transmitting the idea of making money, you can be authentic, and you are going to sound extremely I would say with a huge lack of empathy.
Yeah. You're going to be a turnoff. It's going to be a big turnoff.
But in the same way, you can say we are a company focused on reward our shareholders.
Yeah.
And that's our main goal. We want to reward our shareholders because they trust on us. And actually, you're saying exactly the same. In one case, you are extremely authentic, so broad. Bleh. In the other one, you are sincere.
Such a fascinating balance that we've had.
Yeah.
Well, wow, interesting. So Christian, does it? You brought up woke a couple times, and this
Yes.
movement of being woke, and is that like is it concerning you that there is this movement happening where cancel culture and woke is a thing? Like, does that keep you up at night? Like, what's your stance on that?
It's so funny because when I read about the woke culture, I could say I agree with their principles.
Sure,
It's quite difficult to disagree with that.
Right. It's about being a good human being, doing the right thing, etc.
The issue is when you have no options with the woke culture and you have to think in a specific way because there are no other options. There are no nuances around that.
Yeah.
And you say, no, I think on that, I think completely different. I don't know. Right now in Spain, there is a huge discussion because of a law of the government about transsexual people. And on the one hand, and it's quite difficult, and I think I'm getting into trouble with that. On the one hand, I really agree and respect people who want to be trans. It's their life.
Yeah, their decision.
Okay? On the other hand, I'm being a dad. I'm concerned that the trans give answers to questions that a little kid still still doesn't ask.
It's almost like propaganda. It's like spreading propaganda in a way.
Yeah. And if you say this to a very woke person, he will be completely upset with you. No.
Yeah.
You have to allow because what? I don't know. I remember when my daughter, she was a kid, I changed her from one school to another because they have a sexual education class. She was 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
Okay? And I was noticed about that because one evening I was driving. It was a huge storm. We were in a highway, and she was sitting in the back of the car, and she asked me, "Hey, Dad, what the hell is oral sex?" I say, "Oh, okay." Oral sex is, and I was completely specific. Saying oral sex is when two people, to demonstrate their love, they kiss each other in certain parts that you don't use to show to anybody. Although, I say, is that enough for you? Yeah, it's okay. And that's it. And after that, I say, well, I have a question for you. Why you are asking me this?
Right.
Where did you hear that? Where did you? Oh, at
it's
the
not
school,
on Peppa Pig.
It came a guy and he was talking about penis, vaginas, and I don't understand what he said.
Yeah.
And I say, I don't understand why he was saying that. And the day after, I changed her from another school because they were giving answers to questions that she still didn't ask.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of problem I see with work. It's the question of cancellation, of saying this is the unique truth, and that's not true.
Right.
Also,
Right.
what I'm saying is not true. It's my truth, and perhaps some people
and that's you being sincere about it.
Yeah, and perhaps there is people that say, "Oh, no, you are wrong." Okay, give me good reasons for that.
Yeah. Well, how does this affect, like, from a brand perspective? How do you how do you make recommendations on how a brand should handle, like, this is changing societal norms, changing culture, right? Like, brands, they need to react in some way. What is your recommendation to brand on how they should react to cancel culture and the woke culture?
Well, the issue there is how bold they are. In terms of, again, I go back to being sincere. It's a question of, you can tell the people a beautiful story where you show yourself that you are extremely woke, but in your day-to-day behaviors, probably you are not going to show that.
Yeah.
Because you behave in a different way, because the real values behind those behaviors are completely different. So if that is the reality, understand here is another issue, that you don't have to tell stories, you have to build stories. And to build a story is based on realities, on your real values, on your real behaviors. So don't go too far. If you want to be sincere, and you go to a market that you are going to be in trouble if you go against the market with what you are saying, build your story on the values that the people will accept. The rest, omit that. Don't tell the people that. That's it.
Well, one of the things that I've consulted a lot of clients on is making sure that your core values and your day-to-day actions are aligned. Right? I think too many brands, they want to take this righteous road and we're doing great for the planet, yet really they don't fucking recycle and they're throwing garbage on the street. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about sustainability, but you're throwing garbage into the ocean, right? And that's an extreme case, but we can see so many brands, like, are they just checking a box because corporate social responsibility or society tells us, but they're not changing their behaviors?
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. What you haven't mentioned is that, and also when you're talking about CSR, CSR is something extremely beautiful, but right now is a sort of a standard that you have, a spreadsheet you have to check.
Exactly.
I remember, and this is extremely difficult. There are two issues there. The first one is, when you're talking about values with a company, I used to say values, but please, let's be realistic. We are talking about 1, 2 values. And they say, no, Cristian, we have developed with an international branding company. I say, oh, this list of value that we have here in our board of director room, and these are our 15 values.
Yeah.
And in that case, I say, well, I will talk to you about a very smart subject. It's not a person, it's God. God, once upon a time, he woke up Moses and say, hey, Moses, time for trekking. Go up that mountain. Moses went up the mountain and he found 2 stones with 10 commanders. 10. Okay? And he went down and said, hey, guys, you have to accomplish these 10 commanders. God told me that. And they say, oh, yes, Moses, yes. Now I go, I come back to the present. I was, in certain moment in my life, I was learning theology.
Oh.
Well,
sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. It's part of the engineer syllabus. Anyway, yeah. I remember a priest that we were all young, and we say, hey, I'm living with my girlfriend. What you are telling me, the 10 commanders and all that stuff. And he say, hey, wait a moment. There are two kind of people who accomplish the Ten Commanders. The first type are saints. The second are liars. In the middle of that, the rest of the humanity. so,
Right.
so if we, as human beings, knowing that we can go to hell, for us, it's difficult to accomplish those 10 commanders. Why we believe that we are going to follow 15
Right.
values of a company? That's crazy.
Right.
So when you are talking about that, they say, "Oh gosh, this is quite difficult." The second issue is that, as I mentioned before, you have to choose 1, 2 values that you can easily see in the people, in how the people behave. They should be measurable. So the value isn't something abstract. It's the way that somebody say hello. It's the way that people collaborate within a company and an organization. It's the way you give answers and other stuff.
Yeah.
So
it becomes like almost like the operating system in which your organization needs to live by, and if it becomes, just 15 values that's in a boardroom that nobody sees, how can anyone live that? You know what I mean? And those 15 values, but they spell out a word that we really like, like the 15 values becomes an acronym to something, and it becomes bullshit. It becomes unusable.
I remember also in a company, there was a meetings of the top directors of the company. And one of them was working abroad. He was actually working in Russia. And in one moment he said, "Hey guys, here are the new values. We have to accomplish this." They said, and everybody said, "Yes, these are our 15 values." And he said, "Well, I have a problem with one, which is to be transparent. I cannot be transparent because in Russia, business are not transparent. So let me know what I must do, what I should do, close our operation or not accomplish that value." And the rest of the directors said, "Well, to be transparent could be understood in several ways." So they destroy in 5 seconds, they destroy that value.
Yeah.
And this is the issue with that.
Yeah, that's exactly the issue. Well, you and I had a conversation. We actually had an email exchange, and then we had an invite, and it was entitled from you. You sent it to me, "Pinky in the Brain World Domination," and I loved that. And I'm a pinky in the brain kind of guy. So I have a couple of questions that I wrote down prior. So let's talk world domination real quick. So like brain is all about world domination. If you were to plot world domination, but in the branding world, what's your strategy? How do you become brain and dominate the world from a brand perspective?
It's a good question. First of all, I think that we can conquer the world, and I will be more specific. We can conquer our world.
Well, I like how you did that. Yeah. Nuance.
I would be extremely happy if I am able to conquer my world. This is like let me see if I can find a good example for this. Yeah. 2 blocks from here, there is a little shop with an old man. He's selling bread. He produced the bread and he's selling bread. and he's the leading. And actually, my son, he used to call him John Bread. I have to go to John Bread to buy some bread. I say, okay, go there. I go to John Bread to buy some croissant. Oh, let's go there. Oh, that's okay. Actually, I would say that 8 blocks around John Bread, everybody goes to his little retail shop to buy the bread, the croissants, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's the leader there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perhaps
That's a great
Bimbo
example.
is the world leader. So,
Mhm.
in certain point, what I'm trying to say is there are certain brands and certain organizations and certain companies that I would extremely happy to work with, because I know that we intuitively we are sharing values.
Yeah.
So the best I can do is try to conquer that world.
That's so good. I had a colleague, Christian, once say, own your backyard. And it's the same. It's the 8 block radius, right? Like the world John Bread is the world dominator in his world, and for bread, and like that. Just I love that analogy. I love how you were able to kind of bring that forward, because I think then that allows any organization to dominate their world, right? You give them permission to, because if the bread maker who has just a storefront somewhere in the middle of Madrid, in some random 8 blocks, like that's incredible. All right. So that was the brain question, the pinky question. We've all had pinky moments in our career. And so I want to know, maybe is unexpected or is a silly or something, like what is that kind of silly or unexpected idea that led to a really surprising and positive outcome or insight? Like, what's your biggest pinky moment?
I think that the pinky moment is when you begin a new project, whatever it is, the project, okay, and you are a bit naive.
Mm-hmm.
You love it with the same kind of innocence that you had when you were a kid. Okay, and that's a pinky moment.
Yeah.
When Brain's saying, "Hey, let's go to conquer the world," the other say, "Oh, yes, let's go," and he's extremely naive, believing that he can conquer the world. And this is exactly the same. He's saying, "Hey, could we develop together a new kind of business? Hey, let's go and try." And when we say, "Let's go and try," we are not putting any kind of condition. We are extremely naive with that intention.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's a pinky moment.
So
under my
that's
point
really
of view,
good.
It's and when you're
that's humbling to hear you say, Christian. It's humbling because you are a seasoned veteran. You have a resume that is pages long and accolades, and we all have these pinky moments, and I think that, like, we're naive to say that we don't have these pinky moments. But I think it's humbling and it's awesome to say, when you start a project and you think everything's going to turn out great and it's going to be seamless, and when the hell did that ever happen? Those are our pinky moments.
No, I think we have to maintain this kind of dreams. It's good. It's good for our soul.
It is. It is good. Yeah. It worries me when people stop dreaming. And I've noticed that people get older, they stop dreaming, about the what ifs and what could be. And you don't, right? You're all about the what ifs and what could be. But I've just noticed that.
Yeah, I'm becoming old and I am forgetting things.
No, well, that's why you ask what if. No, but I think it's really good to ask, to continue to ask those questions and asking the right questions. And I think as we all strive to live a more creative lifestyle, like it's channeling our inner child and channeling our inner curiosity that's going to, make life worth living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also it's a good way because, and also I think that instead that is something from our childhood, it's something that we have to feed, because in certain way, if you maintain that mood, you feel good.
You will feel good, and that's what we want, right?
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that with Allegro 234. We have challenging years, we have good years, we have excellent years, and we were at least 3 times close to bankruptcy. And in that moment, I say, "Oh, we are close to bankruptcy." Yeah. And I remember my wife saying, "But Cristian, don't worry about that, because you always said that all the consultancy business is 3 months from bankruptcy. So right now we are only 1 month. We have to go back to 3 months. It's not a big effort."
I gotta write that down because that's very true. We're all 3 months away from bankrupt. That's so funny. It's almost like, what's the world nuclear countdown clock? We're all like 1 minute away from midnight, and that's how they gauge how close the world is to nuclear war. But as a brand consultancy, we're all 3 months away from bankruptcy. It's so funny. Well, I love chatting with you, Cristian, and I can chat with you all day and every day, and I hope I get the opportunity to do so. But we got to wrap it up for right now. Please tell our audience how to get in contact with you, your URL for Allegro, and kind of where you live on the internet.
Well, on internet, with that name that is there, Cristian Saracco, you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter.
I'm sorry, X. It's not Twitter anymore.
It's true. It's X. Yeah.
We didn't even talk about Sir Elon.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that, but it's X.
Part two.
Yeah. It's a beautiful move, by the way. Anyway, Allegro 234 is Allegro 234 altogether.net, and this is our website. If you make the mistake of putting .com, you are going to be redirected to .net. So it's only the same.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's a good redirect.
And that's it. It's so simple to contact me.
You are very available.
Yeah, there is a lot of people that really believe that if they are difficult to contact, they are like superstars or gurus and all that stuff.
It's not very sincere of them.
Yeah, and if it is difficult, the more difficult, the better. No, I don't think so. If you want to contact me, it's so easy.
Yeah. Cristian Saracco on LinkedIn. If you want to contact me, I'm at stevenbacanta.com. And if you want to contact Branders Magazine, that's brandersmagazine.com. And we would love if you left a comment, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe below. And until next time, peace out.